Okay, so today we have Morrissey and the Night Pop Dropped. So, last week we reacted to Zoom Zoom the Little Boy, and I said this song is coming up next week, and now we're here. And that I've seen some positive things about it, at least when people first got a taste of it, when Morrissey was doing it live, so that intrigued me. And the title just intrigues me as well, The Night Pop Dropped. Sounds fun. And from what I've seen too, apparently this one is a fun one too, just like last week. And from an album that started off pretty dark. So now we're getting into a more chirpier section. So let's get into it. Talk about it after about 4.5 minutes here. Let's go. My goodness. Little guitar.
Firm till the last sun warm. How empty our lives would be if we had never known, if we had never known. Remembering the night pop drop, how empty life would be if we had never known. So sad for the universe, so sad for me, for us, so sad for the universe.
Got a beat. Brian Buckley.
Remembering the night pop drop, pop rolled and raged and roared. No taboo on smoke and touch, no taboo on very much. How empty our lives would be if we had never known, if we had never known. Remembering the night pop drop and the girls at the back door sang hi, and the boys at the back door sang low. So sad for me, for us, so sad for the universe, so sad for me, for us, so sad for the universe.
God. All right. Morrissey, The Night Pop Dropped. This album, just, it takes you on a ride the whole way through. Like I said last week with Zoom Zoom Little Boy, I'm bringing that song up again because I really enjoyed that. That was fun as hell. But previous to that, I was thinking about how dark this album was, again, with songs like Notre Dame, the title track, and as well, I can't remember, The Monsters of Pig Alley, of course, too, which is very dark. And then you go into here in the middle section, I guess, of the album, and all of a sudden, it's upbeat as hell, it's fun, it's retro, and you're like, what the fuck? So with this one, much like Zoom Zoom the Little Boy, it's, like I said, fun. It's flamboyant. It's upbeat. It's danceable as all hell. It's groovy. The bass on this track is groovy as hell. There's a little bit of a bass solo in there, and there's a funky a funky keyboard solo as well. The keyboard really reminded me of like Superstitious by Stevie Wonder. That came to my head, and for good reason too, because this is just a callback to musically. It's a callback to the 70s. It's a callback to maybe, I guess you could say, the 80s as well. But it's, like I said, it's retro. There's a disco funk feeling to it. And I saw a comment on the video here, play the funky music. White Boy comes to mind for somebody. And yeah, it's very disco influenced. It's very much of that, Motown feel almost as well too. And it's just so different. And I can't even pick my words, but from what I was reading, it was unexpected, I guess, for a lot of listeners. And yeah, again, going through the tracks of the album, all of a sudden you just get a funky 70s kind of tune in 2026. It's just kind of random, but it's fun as all hell. It's jolly, it's jovial, it's, like I said, danceable, toe tapping song here. I was moving my head a lot, especially because of that bass, because of those drums. Brendan Buckley on the track here is quick. He's busy. And he works very well with Juan as well, who I think is on the bass, if I remember correctly, Juan Galliano. And like I've said many different times, the bass and the drums are a lot of the time, if I can remember the words I'm trying to think of, they're a lot of the time, they're the reason you're dancing around, whatever, you're shaking your ass. And that's what's happening here as well, too. Keyboards as well. I mean, the keyboards on this track were nuts. I think Gustavo was on the keyboards on this one, I do believe. So that was just nuts. And like I said, funky and twinkling as well, talking about those keyboards and I can't remember another word. I guess those are enough words, those are enough adjectives as well for the keyboards, but thin as well in a way, but not in a bad way for me. It was just so different. It was just so funky, and I'm just like, what the fuck? It's just it just sounded crazy to me. But yeah, it's just crazy that this is on the same album as some tracks that I mentioned earlier there that have such a different vibe to them. But there's a lot of energy on this. Morrissey himself sounds strong. Every song I've listened to on this album, his voice sounds strong. Again, he's a guy who's like in his mid-60s, but he still sounds good to me. He doesn't sound like he's struggling to keep up. He sounded loose on this too. He sounded loose. He sounded, I bring the word again, but jovial. He sounded like he had some swagger here. He sounded like he was having fun himself on this track. And when you talk about the lyrics on this track as well, I've seen those be kind of a point of contention, if I want to say that much, or how some people don't know who he's talking about. I've also seen a Rolling Stone article just come out and say that he's talking about David Bowie. I don't know if that was ever stated by him, but some people have just ran with that and say that it is about David Bowie and his passing in 2016, I do believe. And so yeah, that comes to mind. I was also thinking about pop music as a whole. That I pop drop, but I don't think that really works. Also, I think about pop as in a father figure. You call your dad Pop, or some kind of a figure anyway. And so just so many different things came to mind for the lyrics. The lyrics aren't very in depth either. There's some repetition in there, but for me, it's just like the lyrics. I don't know how much time Morrissey spent on them, or how much thought he put into them, or how much they're near and dear to his heart. But for me, it's just the music that just takes you away and that makes you move. And if this doesn't make you move, I mean, I don't know, you could say it's a terrible song, whatever the fuck you want, but this makes you move. I mean, my God, this makes you dance. This makes you have to move around a little bit. I mean, I gotta give them something for that. But and again, for me, the lyrics are very intriguing and very thought-provoking, and so he did well on that part anyway. But to talk about the personnel here, as I always bring them up, but Morrissey, of course, is on vocals, vocal melodies too, and like I said, that melody or just that keyboard really reminded me of Stevie Wonder in there. But again, so many different people come to mind from the 70s and such. And speaking about the 70s, I did also see somebody say that it's a song about Mark Bolan, and I don't know why his name came up, but I just wanted to mention that. Iggy Pop as well might come to mind too, just because the night Pop dropped, but Iggy Pop has not dropped yet, which is crazy because, he was just going nuts in the 60s and 70s, and he's still here. My goodness, taking his shirt off wherever he can. Anyway, we go on to the personnel. Like I said, Gustavo, for this track in particular, he was on keyboards on Headache, and he's on keyboards for this one too. So I like how he was on these specific tracks because he did very well here. But also, just to say, Camilla Gray was on keyboards for the album. I would imagine maybe she had something going on this track in particular as well. Carmen Vanderberg on electric guitar. And how the guitar, I would say the electric guitar is how everything started off, really. I mean, that cut in immediately before everything just kind of, got funky. That was just kind of an edgy start, and then, like I said, everything just dropped into funkiness. I mean, my God. Juan Galliano is on bass here, and he was doing a lot. My goodness gracious, he was also on synth and programming, and I would imagine there was some synth work going on here, but keyboards too, obviously. Jesse Tobias on electric guitar. And then we go on to Brendan Buckley, who was on drums. I love how in the personnel, the way it's put in Wikipedia, everybody's on so many different things, and Brendan Buckley is just drums, and that's it. Pretty simple. Anyway, that's fun to me. And then if we go on here, is there anyone else that I missed? I don't believe so. No, that's all the personnel on the specific track. My goodness gracious. But yeah, like I said, I just love how these two back-to-back tracks I've done now have just taken a turn, and they're just so funky, and they're just so fun. And I don't know, I enjoyed the novelty of it, I guess you could say, or how what's another word? Kitsch, I guess you would maybe say these tracks have been. But anyway, we go into the lyrics now, where I don't know if I know everything that's happening, but like I said, they're kind of open to interpretation, and you can kind of understand that Morrissey, or the narrator here, is being nostalgic. They're remembering something. They're talking about loss in a way of what was taken away from us. Remembering the night Pop dropped, the bar ran dry, and the dancers stopped. Of course, the bar ran dry. I think about how the bar maybe got empty, but as well, it ran dry. The drinks were gone that night as well. Then we go on, the bar ran dry because there was so much drinking because of what happened, because Pop dropped. Anyway, remembering the night Pop dropped, he held us firm till the last sun warmed. So obviously, too, you see that whoever this Pop character may be, they're very important to the narrator here. I mean, my God, how empty our lives would be if we had never known. And I think about, too, because it feels like that if we had never known, there could be more put after that of what specifically he's talking about. If we had never known what. But I think if we had never known Pop at all, and if we are talking about Bowie, if we had never known him, how empty would our lives have been? And yeah, I mean, a lot of lives would have been empty. And I feel like a lot of artists that we know might not have existed because of David Bowie never existed himself, because they would not have been influenced by him. But anyway, I just talk about Bowie because, again, I've seen people just take and run with that. But either way, whoever Pop is, they influenced people. And thank God we knew him. But at the same point, our lives would be empty without them. But now we're reminiscing and mourning this person or this thing, whatever. Pre-chorus, remembering the night Pop dropped, how empty life would be if we had never known. This person, one more time, comes into play for me. Then we have the chorus, so sad for me, for us, so sad for the universe. Everybody, so sad for me, for us, so sad for the universe. And again, we're just mourning. We're talking about this person who has gone. At least that's what comes to my mind. Again, these lyrics, and from what I've seen, people say they don't understand these lyrics very well, but still the song, the tune bangs. But either way, second verse, remembering the night Pop dropped. I like how that line comes in multiple times. Pop rolled and raged and roared. Again, I get images of the 70s, of musicians in the 70s, and it doesn't even just have to be musicians, but just figures, I guess, of prior times as well come to mind. Anyway, and of course, Rubber Ring is a song that many people have brought up in how this is like the Rubber Ring of 2026. But anyway, no taboo on Smoke and Touch, no taboo on Very Much. I don't know why that made me laugh, but it's a great rhyme. How empty our lives would be if we had never known, And again, no taboo on Smoke and Touch, no taboo on Very Much, I guess, because of this person, because of this, being that we are mourning song. It comes to mind one more time. We have the pre-chorus again that I've already mentioned, the chorus again that I've already mentioned. So sad for me, so sad for us, so sad for the universe, my goodness, and then the outro. And the outro, I like the outro, I have to say, and that seems pretty straightforward to my big fat head, but he said the best thing you could do is be yourself. And he said, are we talking again about the person that this song is about? But either way, the best thing you can do is just be yourself. And that's just repeated on. The best thing you do is be yourself. And honestly, what comes to my head is the song by Audio Slave. Of course, Chris Cornell passed away. I don't know if we're talking about Chris Cornell, but I guess you could almost insert whoever you want into the song. But to be yourself is all you can do. And that's obviously, it's almost at this point, I feel like so many people have said be yourself that maybe it's lost its meaning. But of course, at the end of the day, it is still poignant, and just to be yourself and do what you want to do and be who you want to be is very much an important thing to do, because there's a lot of people out there who are scared to be themselves, or either way, that all comes to mind, especially in music or in the limelight or whatever. They try to be somebody they're not, or use filters or edit things, whatever the hell. And anyway, so I just think about that, and how Morrissey, I would say, he probably thinks himself, and I think we can agree that Morrissey is much himself, and unapologetically himself, and how Morrissey, I would think, appreciates that about other people. So he really took that to heart from whoever this quote or whatever the saying he's thinking of, it came from. But at the end of the day, the best thing you can do is be yourself, and I feel like that's vital lyric to live by anyway, whatever we're talking about. So anyway, usually I like to really get into the meanings of the tracks that I listen to here, but I feel like I kind of scratched the surface a little bit. But anyway, like I said, I've seen different interpretations on these lyrics, and different people that come to mind for listeners. But either way, it was a banging track note nonetheless. Like I said, very danceable, great beat. Brendan Buckley especially, did say there at one point when I was listening, Buckley had a great beat, and just how danceable and how easy that was to get along with. So I like that. I like the song, and the lyrics again just make you pause. So anyway, I guess that's all I gotta say. So thanks for watching. Thanks for liking, subscribing, commenting, all of those different things. Thanks for coming back for another Morrissey Friday. We got 5 more songs, I do believe, including the bonus tracks that I see here to do. So, just to let you know there, Lester Bangs, Many Icebergs Ago, Kirching, I think is how you say that, and Hello Hell, great song title there, and Happy New Tears. Well, that sounds fun as hell. So there you go there. But I'll talk to you guys again soon.